Hello. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's section of readings. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them, but for this installment, I'm going to use the Wild Reflections Tarot deck by Spell. If I can coordinate myself here, sorry about that. And I know there's a Spell website on the back here. I think it's over there. So if you want to check it out or find this deck, there's the information. You can freeze frame and check out what you want to check out if you're interested, naturally. Supportive Oracle Cards, Magical Spell Cards by Lucy Cavendish. Illustrated by Jesse Reish. And then there's a website at the bottom, heyhouse.com, somewhere down there. I usually find it if I look hard enough, but it's there somewhere, heyhouse.com if you're interested. Okay. And last but not least, I use dice. I use a 22-sided dice for the major arcana, substituting 22 for 0, the Fool. 14-sided dice for the minor arcana, and a 4-sided dice to choose the element to decide which section of the minor arcana I'm going to use. These came from mathartfun.com, or the dice shop. The website is mathartfun.com if you're looking for that. That's where those ones came from. Okay, that being said, if you'd like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. It's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Thank you very much for watching, and let's get into your reading. Hello, Cancer. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, I don't know why I'm showing you this pumpkin. There you go. What do we have for Cancer? That was very random. Are we going to have a random read? That little pumpkin just kind of rolled over there, and I was like, okay. Okay, so what's going on is a great question. Do I allow slow change or no change? So, do I allow slow change or no change? Okay, so there's a lot that's already been done here. Whatever you're coming into this, there's a lot that's already been done. I keep seeing the Judgment card, and I'm seeing this beautiful woman on here, and I keep feeling that somebody stepped in and fixed it. They fixed it. Somebody stepped in and fixed it. And I keep seeing this Eight of Wands. I'm not sure that it was a fast process as much as, like, all of a sudden it just started changing. So, like, it may have felt fast to you. It may have felt like it was really kind of... Some of you might even felt like it was reckless because of how it didn't feel, you didn't like it. It just felt uncomfortable, even though I do think it was going well. But it's kind of like it's shaking things up. I don't know where this goes. I don't know where that goes. I don't like that. I'm trying to figure out what else is going on in this part, because I like that lady. She looks very beautiful. She looks like she has a lot going on. She's got a lot together. She's got to get things done. Very good intentions with whatever's going on with her. Holding the line. She's bringing in the Sun card and the 9 of Fire, which is kind of like, I'm not letting certain things into this situation. I'm blocking certain things from getting in and causing problems. I'm not allowing it. So this energy from this person here, because I know it's the Judgment card, but I keep feeling this lady with a lot of strength. Doesn't have to be a woman, but somebody with a lot of strength. Like they kept it where it needed to go. It does seem like it changed very quickly. It does seem like it was regulated, or I do feel like gatekeeping in the sense of, like, you know, people who aren't a part of this situation don't need to be affecting it, if that makes sense. It's like, just because you want to be in this room doesn't mean you're allowed in this room. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Like, I keep hearing like like justified gatekeeping, in the sense of like, if you're not going to have a positive effect here, so you're not allowed in here, if that makes sense. But I don't know if I'm using that right. Because I keep seeing different versions of this, almost like, people are a part of the subject, but they have like the way they're looking at it, or the way what they want to happen isn't helping this particular situation. So it's kind of like, if you want to share your views, you're going to have to go over there or over there. This situation is for specific people. I don't know why I'm okay. So another example of this is like, certain people who have disabilities or certain traumas, for example, they're there's people a part of this room that are going to help them move forward and show them that they're not segregated out of the total situation, but they're not letting just anybody in here. It's supposed to be a safe space for people who feel like they're having these challenges, so that they can feel like they're protected and they can learn what they need to learn, and then they can go on to the next portion. So it's like, it's segregated purposely, but not like elite, in the sense of like purposefully. Hopefully that makes sense, because it's not like meant to be like, oh, you're not good enough to be here. It's not like that. It's kind of like, no, this needs to happen a certain way, and there's certain people allowed in here and certain people are not allowed in here because of the way it adds up. That situation is what we're dealing with if this is hitting. But not everybody was allowed to be a part of it. And I'm getting more communication is coming in with like what has been learned from the way it has been done. So things have the ability to kind of change and maybe develop a little bit more productively. Maybe however it was done back then, or whenever it was for a reason. That reason made sense at the time, but things may have evolved, new information may have come forward. And it's kind of like, I see you standing like, well, I don't want this to fall apart, but I don't want to jeopardize what we have. And I don't want to like hold it back. If it needs to evolve to be better, we definitely want that. But is this really the right move here? And you're kind of like between these two things. Both of these cards came up for where you're standing. I don't know if I should just hold it and keep it where it is and just not let things change, or if we should let slow and careful, like let's try a little bit of this and test it. Let's try a little bit of that and test it. Let's see if this works. Test it a little bit here and test it a little bit there. Is this going to make sense? And I feel like I'm looking at the whole situation, and you're not the only one, trying to understand, like, does this plan make sense? Can we go about it in a slow, careful way and just kind of like change a little bit here and then observe it and see how it worked, and like decide if we're going to keep it and see where it evolves on its own, or redirect it in a different direction? There's a lot of like watching, and is it good or bad? Do we like it? Do we not like it? It's taking away some stability from the situation. I feel like as it keeps moving forward, I don't feel like I have control. It's starting to take a life of its own. You got the Hierophant reversed, which to me is a lack of structure, and the nine of Pentacles comes in like this, which means I'm not really sure if it's supposed to go up or down. It's kind of developing. It could go up. It could go down. Is it good? And the Nine of Pentacles is like a self-sufficient card. It's like very self-reliant. So it's kind of like, is this going to become more self-reliant or less self-reliant? And we're not really sure at this point. Is this going to make sense going forward? Am I going to be off on my own doing what I need to do? Or am I going to be more dependent on other people? We're not really sure how this is adding up yet. But there's some good parts coming in here too at the same time. As the information keeps coming in, and I do feel like you're communicating where you feel necessary, things are starting to come apart for areas that you did not think were okay. Things that you didn't really think that didn't work out well. Like whatever this situation is, there's some pieces of it that you're like, I don't think that works out well. Or maybe there's some people you're like, I don't know if these people should be a part of this, or at least in that position, if that makes sense. Or maybe there's some people you're like, I'd like to see them move up a little bit because I feel like they'd do a better job if they moved up a little bit and took more of a leadership role. Things like that are kind of switching around here. I feel like I'm noticing it's kind of taking its own course forward. Because while some of these things I don't like, other people don't either, and that's kind of, you know, getting them to change either where they are, they're either going down a little bit or they're coming up a little bit, whatever seems to work. And I feel like I'm liking these changes, especially with the romance here. Like, okay, I like that. These are some changes I thought should happen before anyway, but now that they're happening and this is moving around, maybe this could be a good thing. And I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty, kind of like, I don't really know if I like this enough or not. I don't know if this is going well or not. I don't even know if I really have the control to stop it at this point. And I'm not even sure if I want to or not. I just want it to change. If it's going to change, I want it to change slowly. A lot of information flying all over the place. You got the Knight of Swords. There's the Queen of Swords in the environment. Page of Swords is floating around here, right at the top. A lot of information all over the place. And then the Eight of Swords is being released. That's a block being released sometimes, or feeling trapped. Sometimes that's a block when people feel like they don't have any choice but to do it one certain way. And when it's being released, it's like options are opening up. More of a wider viewpoint is being opened up here. And I get that a new structure is starting to show itself. Like, we might be getting rid of the old structure, but we might be also adding in a new structure at the same time. Whew, there's a lot of information coming at once. I'm just surprised there's so much. Somebody else is trying to dictate and roll out the plan and kind of staple it in where it needs to go. The more I see the stapling in, I feel like the staple is more of a temporary way of doing it. So when things are being stapled in, it's kind of like it could stay there permanently, but we can't rely on the staples. I feel like we have to do something else to kind of reinforce it to make sure it does stay where it's supposed to stay. So somebody is trying to reinforce it and trying to staple it in, but that's kind of like to make sure it works. And they should be like able to change their mind if they're like, nope, that wasn't actually the best. Let's take out that staple and let's move this over here and then staple that over there and see if that works better. So that's why when I'm saying staple it in, it's kind of like an attempt to see if it would work permanently, but have the ability to change it with a little bit of work. The truth is coming out about a couple things here unexpectedly. Four of Cups and the Eight of Cups, or the Eight of Major Arcana, but the Eight of Major Arcana is reversed, that's the Strength card. Some people are showing their poker hand here in this environment. But while these changes are happening, people who maybe seemed very strong and very motivated and had it all together are starting to show their true colors. And it's kind of like maybe that was more of a facade, or maybe while they had other people to lean on, they could pull that off like that was the case. But maybe that's not quite how it goes. When that's being exposed, other people who actually are strong are stepping forward. Because it's funny, I have Strength reversed on the dice telling me that like people who are maybe moving forward on falsehoods, that's kind of falling through the cracks. That's not making it. But people who truly are strong and truly do have their heart in the right place, they're moving up in this situation and the truth is coming forward. There may be some people here who they don't have a lot of patience for tomfoolery, let's call it. And they might be very blunt, let's just say blunt, about like, you know, if I'm going to be doing this, this is how it's going to be done. They may be very blunt. How is that going to affect Cancer? You got the Sun card right up and down. So overall, you're going to like it. I feel like some of it, I'm just going to step aside and let it happen. Other parts of it, I'm going to kind of like promote it and do what I can to support it. But you got the Sun card with it. So it's kind of like, all right, this needs to change. So I'm all right with this. And if that's what they're going to do and the stronger people are coming forward and they're just like, no, this has been going wrong too long. Blunt comment about whatever that was. And then things going differently. It's kind of like, I'll just step aside until they've sorted it out. And some of it, I feel like you will support it. But I don't feel like I'm knee deep in it. I feel like I'm just kind of stepping in and supporting it where I need to make it better. But a good amount of it too, I'm just like, you know, I don't need to be a part of that. So I'm just gonna let that settle on its own and I'll come back later when I can be more effective. It seems to be good. It seems to make sense. This reading is going on for a minute. It's a longer one. I know you got great cards over here, but like, I just want to see how the judgment going in your favor. Well, of course. Not everything will change. Not everything. Did I say that before? Because I don't think everything will change, but it may look like it's gonna. But when all is said and done, not everything changed. It's almost like taking everything out of the house. The dishes, the curtains, the furniture, everything is out on the front yard. And originally we thought, okay, they're going to throw everything out and we're going to get everything new. But there's things I didn't want to throw out, things I want to keep, things that mean a lot to me. I don't want to throw out everything. And they're like, oh, don't worry, Cancer, we're not. But let's make sure whatever we put back in the house is working, is clean, has a purpose, has a place. You know, I feel like everything's been taken out of the house, and then it's like everything that goes back in has to like make sense. It has to have its place. It has to be clean. And like, boom, this is where that goes. Boom, that's where that goes. Boom, that's where this. We're gonna keep this because we use it. We're gonna let that go because we don't. This over here, even though we're letting go of it, somebody else wants it down the street. They just gotta come pick it up. It's theirs. Not everything is going. We're only keeping stuff that makes sense. We're only keeping stuff that we actually very much want. If we have a bunch of tattered and torn old clothes that have been up in the attic for like 15, 20 years, they're damaged and they're just taking up space, we're not going to put those back in the house. If we can rip them up and use them for rags, we'll do that and we'll put that in the garage, or we'll do what we need to do, but they're not going back in the house. You know what I mean? And I get that this is going to work for you. It's kind of like, oh, okay, we're not just throwing everything out. We're going to keep the good stuff, and the stuff that doesn't make sense, we're going to let that go. Okay, that makes sense. I can do that. This moment, there's two different ways to handle it, is what I'm getting. I feel like there's this energy where people are like, you know, we'll keep doing this, we'll keep doing this, we'll keep doing this every 3 months, every 4 months, whatever. We'll go back, we'll revisit this, we'll do this whole process again, we'll do this whole process again. I don't think that's actually going to hold, because when I get the Two of Pentacles behind it and the Seven of Cups, it's kind of like every now and then we're giving it a thought, every now and then we're talking about it. I don't think it's actually going to happen that way. What's more likely going to happen is this moment is going to be one of those rare moments. It may be years down the line it'll happen again, but it's going to be quite a while before it happens again. So it's a possibility. You might want to look at this like, okay, it's going to be years before we do this again. So I want to make sure when we put things back in the house, even though they're saying we're going to do this every so often, it's not likely. We don't want to really argue that, but we just kind of want to like keep it in the back of our head. It's probably not going to do this again for years. Put things where you can make sense, or you'll know where they are, and then devise an emotional plan for you. An emotional plan? Sure. An emotional plan to where as new things keep coming into the house, I can like keep an eye on it and try to make sure it goes where it should. And then as things, you know, are old, like I can put them in a place where every now and then I can just check them. So for example, the stuff up in the attic that was there for 15, 20 years that nobody ever wore and got destroyed, clothes like that, I want to make sure that we have clothes all stored in the same spot and we have them in the protective bins we can, so that once in a while, if I want something, I can go open the bins, make sure they're still safe, and like use them every now and then. Like I want to put stuff up there that's going to be used, so I can like easily check on them, just spot check once in a while, because it might be years before we do this again, but I don't think we have to wait to clean this out and keep this functional. I want it to be set up so that, you know, every now and then I can spot check and be like, uh-oh, all right, we're having this issue upstairs in the attic again, maybe mice or bats or something, who knows what goes on up there. Something happened. We had a couple more garments that were destroyed, so I'm going to get rid of them as soon as I see that, and then we're going to take care of that. Seeing the garments destroyed, I want to get rid of them, but I'm also realizing there's a problem. Let's do something about this before it gets any worse. So I can like identify and fix things and keep it on point on my own in a more realistic way, because waiting for this to happen every so many years, there's just too many problems that I feel like don't need to happen. I feel like if you're able to adopt that new system of the spot checking, and when things go back into the situation in a certain way where you can be like, okay, it's set up, it's purposely set up so I can spot check. Like that's the purpose of, like, try to find a way to set up the situation as it rebuilds so that you could spot check. You can make this really, really a beautiful situation, and it can be much more functional and much more realistic going forward, to where it doesn't have to get to the point where it only goes so far, and then all of a sudden it gets really bogged down, and it gets so bogged down that it's barely livable. So then we have to take everything out of the house again, you know, reevaluate everything, and then put it back in so we can get back to square one. It doesn't have to be like that. If we set it up the first time to where it's like, all right, I can spot check things, I can see things. It's kind of like setting up your attic, if you will. Like, people have different ways of doing things, but like if you set up your attic to where you just keep putting boxes in front of boxes in front of boxes in front of boxes, it's so hard to get to things that you're like, oh, I don't want to even, I don't even want to go up in the attic. So it's because it's so hard to get to things. But if you set it up like, all right, I can get to everything I want. I can get to everything. I have things set up in rows. I can walk between things. I have lighting set up so I can see things. That way, every year when a certain season comes up, the first season's in the front, then the second, or, you know, the next quarter has the second year's stuff, you know, all like that, and I can go back and spot check it so I can get in between things. And people are like, well, you got all this space in the attic. You're gonna be like, no, I don't. I don't have all this space in the attic. I have the appropriate amount of space because I need to be able to get in there and functionally use this stuff. It's not just like a temporary like throw catch all. I have it set up purposely so I can spot check things. And then this whole situation can go a lot easier for you. I hope I'm making sense with that. I feel like I went on a long time about it, because hopefully when this comes in, the changes can be reconstructed in a way where you can keep a better eye on it, and kind of like before it goes crazy, it doesn't have to. I can catch it. I can quickly, easily fix it before it makes a bigger situation. It's kind of like realizing that there's a small hole in the roof. And it's kind of like the longer it's neglected, the more damage you get, the more you have to throw away, the more costly it is to fix it. But if you have it set up just right, where you can just walk through and spot check, you're like, oh, there's a little hole there. So let me go and let me put a temporary patch on it so no more water comes in. And then it's not as expensive to fix it and put everything where it should go. And it doesn't create damage for the rest of the attic. You didn't lose anything because the way you had things set up, you could spot check, see it, fix it, move on with your life, be happy. All right, I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.